Hey, so let's get right into it. If you've ever felt just a little bit confused about how to pronounce past tense verbs in English, the ones that end in ed, well, you've come to the right place. We're about to crack the code on the 3 different sounds of that simple ending.
So, let's just start with the main puzzle, right? Have you ever stopped to think about this? The word wanted sounds like want-id. It gets a whole extra syllable, but the word walked just sounds like walked. They both end in the exact same letters, so what's the deal? This is super common, but I promise you the answer is surprisingly simple.
And here it is. Here's the whole secret. It has absolutely nothing to do with spelling. It's all about sound. The way you say that ed ending is decided entirely by the very last sound of the verb in its original form. That's it. That's the whole game.
Now, to get the rules, we first have to understand this one thing: voiced versus voiceless sounds. And you can actually feel the difference. Go on, try this with me. Put your hand on your throat, right on your voice box. Now make a long s sound, like a snake. S, s. Feel that? Nothing, right? It's just air. That's a voiceless sound. Okay, now keep your hand there and make a z sound, like a B. Z, z. You feel that little buzz, that vibration? That's a voiced sound. And honestly, this little test is the key to everything. Okay, so let's get into our first rule. This is the big one, the one that actually adds a whole new syllable to the word, making it feel a little bit longer.
So, here's rule number 1. It's pretty distinct. If a verb already ends in a T or a D sound, you have to add an extra syllable that sounds like id. And it makes sense when you think about it. I mean, how would you even say want-d or need-d? It's impossible, right? Your mouth naturally adds a little vowel sound in there just to make it work.
Let's actually hear this in action. Really listen for that extra little beat. Want becomes wanted, start becomes started, need becomes needed, and decide becomes decided. You can hear it so clearly, right? That id sound at the end of every single one.
All right, moving on to the second piece of our puzzle. This rule is for all of those verbs that end in a voiceless sound. Remember those? The ones that are just air, with no vibration in your throat.
And the rule is so simple. If the verb ends in a voiceless sound, like a P, K, or S, then the ed ending is also voiceless. It makes a really sharp, crisp T sound. It's like your vocal cords just take a little break for that last sound.
So listen really closely to the ending of these words. It's not walked, it's walked. Not looked-id, but looked. Can you hear that sharp T sound? Washed. Stopped. It's a really clean, clipped sound, and definitely no extra syllable.
And that brings us to our third and final rule. This one covers pretty much everything else, specifically all those verbs that end in a voiced sound. The ones that make your throat buzz. This rule just makes so much sense, doesn't it? If the verb ends with that vibration, the ed ending just keeps that vibration going. So a voiced sound gets a voiced dis sound. And here's a key tip. All vowel sounds are voiced. So this rule is for verbs like play or stay, too. Okay, let's listen to these. The verb play ends in that vowel sound, so it becomes played. Clean ends in N, so it's cleaned. Live ends in that vibrating V sound, so we say lived. Arrived. You can hear that softer, kind of humming D sound that just carries through to the end.
Okay, so you've got the 3 rules now. That's the theory. But let's put it to the test and see if you can put them into practice. I'm going to show you a verb, and I want you to try to say the past tense out loud. Then we'll check the answer together. You ready?
All right, first one up is look. Think about that final sound, the K sound. Is it voiced or voiceless? How would you say it?
Did you get it? It's looked. The verb look ends in a K sound. And if you do the throat test, there's no vibration. So it's a voiceless sound, which means we use the voiceless T ending. Looked.
Okay, how about this next one? The verb is start. What's that final sound, and which rule does it trigger?
That's it. The answer is started. Because the verb start ends with the T sound, it triggers our very first rule. We have to add that extra syllable. Start id.
Perfect. Last one for our little practice round. How about the verb live? Focus on that final sound. What's happening in your throat when you say it? Yes, it's lived. The verb live ends with a V sound. If you put your hand on your throat, v, v, you can feel that buzz, right?
It's a voiced sound, so we use the voiced d ending. Lived. Great job.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway? It really all comes down to just one number, 3. There aren't hundreds of words you need to memorize. There are just 3 simple rules. You've got the id sound for verbs ending in t or d. You've got the t sound for all the other voiceless sounds, and the d sound for all the voiced ones. That is the entire system.
Now, this might seem like a really small detail in English pronunciation, but trust me, mastering it makes a huge difference in how natural and clear you sound. You don't have to guess anymore. Now, every single time you see a regular past tense verb, you have the key to say it perfectly. So the real question isn't how to say it, it's this. Now that you know the secret, can you start to hear it when other people speak?